Live discussion. I would like to invite Alexander Gorbatko, Alesya Mamchur, Director, Digital Project Rostelecom. Please come to the stage. And Arthur Akopyan, AUFG Private Equity Partners. Let's make an attempt to recap as to what was said today and maybe look at this festivity, which is called UrbanTech, using all nice AI technologies, big data, 5G, and others for the benefit and creation of comfortable city space and what kind of challenges we have. So, Alesya, first question to you. So we understand that without communication infrastructure, we would not have that great life, but we've been discussing for many years as to how telecom can be involved not only as infrastructure provider, but in all value chain. But UrbanTech concept gives us an opportunity to participate not only in the smart city project, but also in those nice things that are created around those technologies. So what are successful cases you can provide, and how operators can be involved in all those great things? Thank you very much, Anton, for the question. To be quite candid, it's surprising. It's first time that at GSMA conference I'm not asked about 5G, because that's our main activity in the. Well, I'm afraid of using this word. Yes, I think it is frightful to articulate this word in the coming 5 years. So getting back to your question, the success of our company and what I'm proud of working there is the approach that we've developed implementing the projects. Well, the pandemic has shown it vividly that Rostelecom is always a partner to its customers, ready to respond and provide business models interesting, convenient, comfortable to the customers. We are talking a lot about UrbanTech. It is very difficult to talk about UrbanTech in the country. I've been working with smart city concept for a long time, and it's now a digital region, because the federal customers we have in our country, and we have regional customers, and we have municipalities, because Moscow, in this respect, together with St. Pete and Sebastopol, they are sort of outstanding. But to implement a project in UrbanTech is a challenge because of the configuration of the country. Because to implement them, you need consent and permission of several parties concerned. For instance, Ministry of Healthcare, or Ministry of Digital Development, Ministry of Construction, municipalities. So that is why it is very comfortable for me to work with those colleagues here, because they're quite independent and independent in their decision making. Talking about the peculiarities of such projects, in our company, we can identify several competitive projects. We participate with other market players competitively, but they are socially significant. An example is connecting socially important facilities, and everybody knows what it means when all operators participated in tenders. Rostelecom, of course, won the biggest part of it, but indeed the market made us compete and offer maximally beneficial conditions for the customers in the regions, and thus to develop the infrastructure to provide the implementation of such important socially significant service. But that was a market project. But there are projects that the country implements in the format that I saw very often, how other market players come to participate in the tenders and discussions, and on the during the second hour, everybody realizes it's too difficult to do and say thank you very much, goodbye, because working with state customer or public customer, well, it is related to something you have to do instantly, overnight, And such projects, well, Rostelecom is the only one which is usually ready for that, because we know how to respond to such requests, and we are well prepared for that, well furnished for that, and I think that's one of our competitive advantages. Great. And number 3 format, quite new for us, is public-private partnership. I think that's what I really believe in, because I think that's quite a potential. And I interpret it in a wider sense of the word than just PPP in IT. It's joint projects of the states, and it's not just a structure of projects, but a joint development of markets together with the state together with the market, creating new conditions, interesting for all market players. An example is an agreement Rostelecom concluded with the government of Russian Federation to develop 5G. Talking about the project, I can say that the document was not prepared only by Rostelecom, and we do believe that such projects can be implemented only jointly by all market players, and using the power and strength of our industry, we are standing foursquare for that. And the project we are doing together with the government of Moscow, and we are happy to see all digital players in, and we are planning to get all participants involved and not to interact with the government of Moscow on our own. Some other projects we structure as PPP deal, and a lot was said today about something related to surveillance, efficiency, and I am not going to mention them all for Rostelecom. Those are the projects we've been doing for 15 years running, and we structure them well enough in the public-private partnership. No one has done more projects than us, but we go into new markets. We are leading in smart cities, and we are doing the neighboring areas. We are very active in healthcare, for instance, and we are leading both federally and regionally, and at the level of the municipalities, just separate clinics even, and our solutions are installed almost in all those facilities in the country. And the last project I think it was great structured. It's electronic recipes or in Belgrade region. It's an innovative product, both for the well-being of the citizens and the regions, and great. And the difference between Moscow and the regions, it's clear that sometimes the regions don't have enough money. Public-private partnership is a good format, but besides local authority or you now want to mention digital gap, or whether someone else should be involved in PPP, like providers of digital services. Does it make projects more difficult or easier? I think there are two questions here: the format of PPP, and another one about smart projects implementation, or maybe not smart projects. In the regions, talking about the latter part, we should realize that whatever could be done by market players or operators has been done already. Whatever's profitable already was offered to customers. But in my perspective, if we really want equal development of digital services all over the country, to avoid this digital gap, which will lead to at some point in the future that there will be regions which are doing good now, and they will continue, and also those regions who cannot afford it. They don't have enough investments or experience or specialists, and they will degrade even more. and they will increase the gap against compared to the developed regions. In the nearest future, I think that those regions will compete among each other for people because we all learn how to live in virtual world, and it's clear enough that it's more comfortable to live in a city with good infrastructure, with great digital services. In Moscow region, of course, we can guarantee that in the region of delivery club coverage is better to live there than outside, and we are very much dependent now on them. That's why cities should somehow equalize the quality of services, and the federal executive authorities play a very important role here to both financially support, giving subsidies, and also standards development, which should be formulated with the participation of the regions and motivate them to implement the best practices, including that of the successful regions that already did it. As for private-public partnerships, I hope very much, if I didn't miss things, because I was not prepared that topic. I think that a great shift will be an opportunity to do such projects with facility when both federal authorities and regional and municipal authorities are involved. Because currently that's either a region or the federation or a federal. Well, you cannot impose it on all the territories. There are some limitations, of course. Thank you. Arthur, question to you. Telecom's trying to participate in value creation in whatever but connectivity. And clear enough, there are some fluctuations when investors do believe that or don't believe that. Does it change? Does it change now after the pandemic? There are so many digital services which is impossible to render without telecom, and telecom's becoming more critical provider and is more actively participating in this value creation, creating those systems. How does it impact the EBITDA or inflate the multiplier, or is the investor's attitude cool enough? Well, 4 to 5 questions you asked in one. Indeed, the major operators in our country for a long time been trying to refrain from the thing that was called pipeline. No one just wants to be a pipeline which provides connectivity. Everybody wants to go upwards by value creation, and at some point, in some degree, it does happen this way. Different operators, of course, with different degree of success. I think that all of us somehow are interested as users, and we can see obvious successes of MTS in this respect. Currently, we are now talking about packaging different services which belong to the ecosystem of MTS and even offers of some subscriptions. And I think that that's a great example of this kind of work. We can't say that the investors have learned how to price those things. If you look at the MTS multiplier, well, I don't think it reflects now fully the potential of the company. Other operators choose their own interesting way, but I would like to say that me here, together with such respected speakers, maybe I'm not here by incident. I represent private capital here. And UFG is a major shareholder of Russian Towers company. It was represented here at the conference in the first half. Besides, our investment fund has several investments, including in mobility services. And certainly we can see different derivatives from telecommunications and realize how this value creation can develop. And it seems to me that talking about the Russian experience per se, a big advantage of the market here is that in this country, the telecommunications sector mostly belongs to the private enterprises and not public. And Delivery Club is not the tribute of Rostelecom. We are not claiming for any of that. Well, with all due respect, I liked, Alesya, what you were saying, but what you were talking about, different methodologies of work and this public-private partnership thing, we realized that this is the toolkit good to implement very important and specific tasks of corporate, of public governance, and the state, of course, is the major consumer of IT services and the major consumer of communication services. And in this respect, I think everyone has to play his own role. But when we talk about digital device, or elimination of digital gap, we call it. And when we talk about that, Russia has a very high rating globally. The lowest level of ARPU in the world we have. Quite good indicators of coverage and affordability of network for the population. And to be quite candid, mostly that's the state as the regulator, because they created good conditions for private capital to for mobile operators to work to compete for their part of the market. Well, I think what we require here is the balance of interests, and by the end of the day,
within the framework of the opportunities offered by the market economy, the ecosystems will develop quite effectively. Some say that we need open systems instead of ecosystems. I like this idea very much. And as consumers, we will see how services will develop and evolve. And I think it'll all be very interesting. Okay, very good. We see that in order to tackle social tasks, we need much demand from the government or local authorities. And that's why, Alexandra, the question to you. Obviously, within the framework of this concept, UrbanTech, the country and cities become a platform to allow to create such services for the population. And there are three layers of players, the authorities, businesses, and the population, citizens. And we need to maintain this balance of interests, creating a convenient platform for everyone, for the citizens to get the services they need and businesses to be able to earn on this. Is Moscow effective in this, and how it changes, especially after the pandemic and the fact that digital literacy and appetites among the population is growing in this area after the pandemic, and how Moscow is changing, considering all that? You're right, touching upon competition and development of services and mutual work, joint work of government, country, and the businesses. Just government agencies to develop all electronic services, it is impossible to offer services to businesses and to citizens, and the needs are changing, and especially Muscovites like new things, and they consume new services very actively. Every service can find its niche in the city of Moscow, but understanding what businesses need to develop. I'm not speaking about the whole of the country, but Moscow businesses, what they need in order to develop in Moscow. We always look into this very seriously and talk to businesses. What we need to attract businesses in Moscow and be active in their investments and create jobs, and for us to earn on this and have more taxes and improve the level of salaries in Moscow, creating jobs. That's why we arrange such interaction with network operators. We have 4 operators here in Moscow, but the Moscow city is working on this, and if we had a monopolist here, then the services could not have been so developed. We do not have our own fiber or our own network. We interact with the top four networks. Network operators and the infrastructure I was talking about. Together with operators, we try to understand what they need for investments of the businesses to be more effective for businesses. And regulation is on us. We try to reduce barriers, and we work on automation of various federal agencies. Rostelecom, we are working with them to launch various regulation and offer such relevant services with to operators. And with the base stations and equipment growing in the city now, we see the trends when active citizens oppose development of infrastructure, but we need to work with it, otherwise we cannot develop the networks. And also PPPs. Moscow understands that mostly we develop PPPs with road and some other services companies. Now we have long-term contracts providing that the service will be consumed. If the service is not working effectively, they pay to the city, and that's why the services are working very effectively. And this stimulates very much this financial element to the contract. This stimulates operators very much, but we guarantee that we consume the services and they produce the services. KPIs are very simple. First of all, our department is one of the agencies of the city of Moscow, and we participate in many ratings, and we are being assessed as to how Moscow is developing in terms of services for quality of life, quality of business development in Moscow, and investments attraction. And these ratings, we see how cities develop in the world across these ratings, and we try to compare us against others, where other cities go to and where we are going. And we're changing our KPIs regularly to ensure that we are going in the right direction. Okay, fine. Probably it is not your department's business, but from the point of view of infrastructure, experimental place should be developed for new services. For instance, mobility as a service. Now we'll use car sharing and taxi services, but we see Yandex driving their unmanned cars. Well, so far with pilots, drivers inside, but as for unmanned vehicles, how regulatory-wise, how can you provide a platform to pilot various things and develop new things? Yes, we have a lot of platforms we develop with operators of communication in Moscow and other operators' businesses to attract new technologies to Moscow. And last week with Rostelecom and the hospital, Botkina Hospital and the Center for Innovations of Moscow, we signed a contract for development of cluster for new technologies in medicine. We'll invest into attracting startups for specific hospital, not to just have a look at technologies, but look at business processes in the medical area, what we can offer, what new services and startup companies can be launched in Moscow. Okay, thank you very much. And the last very short question. Our speaker from Korea articulated an idea that a data hub should be set up to accumulate data, to have access and to provide access to it. Is it a utopia? Because businesses and the countries have different needs and various sources of receiving such data. This is not a utopia. Various countries have various management models. United Arab Emirates said that the data is open, you can use it. It's not. It won't go this way in our country because there is some specificities in various countries. They use various ways to work with it. In Moscow, we have a portal of open data, and some data is available. We offer data to businesses because sometimes we cannot automate everything. And startups, there are so many startups that can recommend us as to what to do with this data and in what areas they can be applied. MTS and Rostelecom have relevant cases on that, and we interact very actively. I think data should be open. Data should be available and accessible, and then we'll have more opportunities. We're all speaking about digital economy, but we either speak about economy or digitalization. But the economy is based on the competition and openness. That's important. Okay, very good. Thank you very much. So a very good session indeed. We understand that we will have a bright future, but I'm happy to hear from Artur that telecom operators we believe in telecom operators and we believe in PPPs and socially important functions telecom is developing. And of course, open data is our future. Thank you very much. And I forgot to mention at the beginning, the sponsor of this session was the Russian Towers company. Alexander, thank you very much.